Hello everyone, it's the Bitcoin SV bulldozer. Weird times, people, weird times. We have weird alien drones, we have Donald Trump and his sidekick Elon Musk coming to power, and we have crypto brimming with liquidity from the general population. What the hell am I talking about there? So let's unpack some things here. The fake alien invasion, is this a trial balloon? Is this whole weird drone sightings, is this a trial balloon from the powers that be? I think it could potentially be that. So what am I talking about by trial balloon? Well, they do test runs to see what the reaction of the public will be, and if it's worthwhile at some point in the future pulling off some major heist, because normally there's some theft involved with it, then they'll use the data that they've gathered from these trial balloons to see how to implement it and whether or not it's worthwhile. So I think that that could be what's going on with this drone nonsense. Don't buy it. Don't buy anything. Whatever they say, whatever's going on, it's all lies. It's all lies. All you need to do is focus on the agenda at hand, which is control of the population. I can so easily see the gameplay here, right? It's either a trial balloon, or if it, in the future, they actually go full bore with it, what happens is that these flying objects that they don't know the origin of get out of control, and the population then comes and goes, "Government, save us!" And the government puts in harsh rules, harsh regulations. Maybe they lock down the population so that they can protect them. We've seen this before. It's all just another one of these things. Don't buy anything that they say. Don't buy any news that comes out. Look at the agenda. Look at the angle. What angle are they playing? So, problem, reaction, solution. It's all problem, reaction, solution. This is the fake alien invasion being replaced by something different that the population wasn't expecting. Okay? So it's interesting how this coincides with the lead up to Donald Trump's inauguration. That it's in this in-between place, right? So we've had this election, and once again I correctly predicted the presidential winner. In my last video I stated that they would run with this angle of rigged elections, and they would push for digital IDs as a requirement for elections in the future in the United States. Well, it's not quite playing out just yet the way that I was foreseeing. It seems like the Democrats have accepted, in quote marks, the election result, and we're just going to go on, and there's not going to be any discussion of, in quote marks, rigged elections. But I reckon it's going to come up at some point in time. I reckon that what will happen with the Donald Trump administration, at some point in time they're going to put up this idea of we need proper and fair elections. And they could run with it two ways, right? They could have bipartisan agreement where they have a kumbaya moment, and the Republicans and Democrats come together and say, look, we need proper, fair elections. How do we do this? How do we do this? So they float the idea up in the air. They've got the answer, but then that's the problem. How do we get fair elections, people? And the people go, yeah, government, how do we get fair elections? Problem, reaction, solution. Oh, digital IDs as a requirement to vote. You watch, it's coming. They're going to find other ways as well. It won't be just the elections. They'll find other means to push these digital IDs on the population. And if they were to do that in an election sense in Australia, there could be a massive uproar, because the problem is that in Australia, voting is compulsory. So if voting is compulsory, and it's compulsory to have a digital ID to vote, then it's compulsory to get a digital ID. I could see them trying this, although I think that the population is pretty much onto it. There'd be enough of a backlash against it to stop that from happening. So it wouldn't be necessarily an easy thing for them to pull off. They might need some event like a hacking. I reckon that would be definitely one angle that they take. Some major financial institution or government body or whatever got hacked. We need digital IDs to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. Whether or not that's a valid way of stopping hacking is debatable, but they don't care. They push this as the only solution, and it's a good solution, and then any counter voices that say this is not a good solution just get censored. So that's that. With the elections, they got their man in. He is the trump card. He's the one that is best suited for carrying out the technocratic agenda. And some of you will be sick of me talking about technocracy, but I've got a little gem coming up in a moment. If you don't know technocracy, you don't know what's going on in the world. And if you want to know what technocracy is all about, go to corbettreport.com, do a search on technocracy. There are plenty of discussions that James Corbett has about technocracy and the technocrats, where they come from, their history. Once you know this, it's very difficult for you to get fooled by anything that happens, whether it be, a Donald Trump elect, the saviour, or whether it be the fake alien invasion in the form of UFO drones. So Donald Crumpet and his honorary vice president Elon Musk have come to power. That was a very savvy investment of Elon Musk. That I think it was in the order of $100 million, possibly even more. That was his donation to Donald Trump to get elected. Now he's on the red team and he's all about freedom and everything. Yeah, right. So here's a question for those of you that aren't American, because you'll probably more likely know. And don't be downcast if you get this wrong. But who is the vice president-elect? So I'm guessing most of you will know the answer to that question, but my sense is that some of you won't know. And it's because the vice president-elect, Vance, has actually been replaced by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the effective vice president now. And Trump and Musk are buddies. So the technocratic agenda will be pushed, but from a right-wing angle. I'll come back to that in a moment. But here is the little gem that I was talking about. Elon Musk's grandfather was the president of the Technocratic Party of Canada. So Elon Musk is a literal technocrat, and you've got him in cahoots with Donald Trump. They're all technocrats, people. They all answer at least to the technocrats. And we've got, yay, freedom, the saviour, Donald Trump. There was this beautiful arc of Donald Trump losing the 2020 election unfairly, and then him having an assassination attempt on him, falling to the ground and then rising with his fist in the air. Resurrection, redemption. I reckon that helped him, not that it really matters because they're all selected, but that all things being equal, was it 2 attempted assassinations? They helped him come to power. And so we've got the symbolism of a resurrection, the saviour, Christ, right? He rose from the dead. And we have the resurrection in terms of his political stance. So he was denied the presidency in 2020 and he's come back with a vengeance. He's risen from the dead. He's risen from the political grave. They're so full of shit, these people. Seriously. One other thing that's interesting that I'm about to note now that I haven't heard anybody else note is that the curious thing about Donald Trump being in power from 2016 to 2020, then having this period from 2020 to 2024 where he was a martyr, and then now 2024 onwards, right, is that he'll effectively be in the political limelight, the political spotlight, for 3 presidential terms. Just because Biden and Kamala were, well, they're puppets, but they were in power during 2020 to 2024, doesn't mean that Donald Trump wasn't visibly on the scene, right? So in a way, Donald Trump, not exactly, but sort of, has been in power for 3 terms. And he's been at the backdrop of politics, US politics. Well, once the term has ended, he'll have been in power for 3 terms, or at least in the political landscape for 3 terms. Yeah, and if people are sick of him, and I think there were a lot of people who were already sick of him by, say, 2018, they'll have to endure him for another 4 years. They've basically had to put up with him they will have had to put up with him for 12 years. To me, I don't give a shit. They're all the same. They're all actors and puppets, right? But for those of the population that they think it's all real, they will be in agony as Donald Trump presides over the United States and sort of the global political landscape for the next 4 years. So I mentioned that we're going to see the right-wing version of technocracy. So I've been talking about this, or I've had it in my mind for several years with the baloney virus scam. In the early days of baloney virus, they already were lumping people who were pushing back against this agenda into the, in quote marks, right-wing, Donald Trump, neo-Nazi camp, right? They had all their labels on people that were pushing back against this agenda, okay? And when they did that, I went, oh God, this is bad. Because what this means is that at some point in the future, right? So actually, I'll take a step back. I'd say over the last 30, 40 years, we've had a progression from left wing to the radical left. And in the last 15 years in particular, Western nations in particular went incredibly radically left. The woke agenda, it used to be called political correctness, then it became woke. We saw it reach its peak during COVID, okay? And anybody that was against this radical leftism, there's nothing wrong with a bit of being left and being, say, community-minded, etc. But when it goes to the point of we're all in this together and we have to, call somebody by their preferred pronoun and they legislate these things, and the push of global warming / climate change scam, that's when we're in the territory of the radical left. And when they started framing people who were pushing back against this agenda as Trump lovers and right-wing and the like, and neo-Nazis, I went, I bet you what's going to happen is that we're going to get a swing radically right at some point in time, especially in the United States. I think that's where it's going to really happen. And Donald Trump coming back to power, this is the start of that.